Hey guys, it's Vuma Levin here. Welcome to the video. After a weekend filled with sunshine, heat, love, optimism and happiness, it seems that a cold front has rolled in and reminded us all that spring is yet to arrive, unfortunately. So just when we thought we could discard all of our lip ice and our nasal spray and our eye drops and all manner of other things that have helped us to deal with the harsh, cold, dry Johannesburg winter.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say you've probably had chapped lips at some point.
It seems like we have another week or two of really poor weather to contend with. As you can see, I'm feeling terribly sorry for myself, and I guess that just really indicates the type of problems that I have to contend with in my everyday life. Thanks to everyone who tuned in to the last two episodes of this series spotlighting South African jazz composers. The first two episodes covered the work of Nduduzo Makhathini and his composition Itemba, and Feya Faku and his composition Manguni, respectively. In this episode, I'm really excited to cover the work of one of my primary influences from a compositional and conceptual standpoint, someone who really for the longest time was a guru figure for me musically and who continues to be an everlasting source of inspiration, one of the main reasons why I'm a composer, and I would even say why I'm a musician at large. And I'm talking about Carlo Mombelli.
Awesome playing. I'm amped to see you play some of the local master songs. Love Nduduzo's music. I would love to hear you play a Carlo Mombelli tune.
Now, I first heard Carlo's music when I first became interested in jazz music. I only really became interested in this music when I was in matric, in my final year of high school, back when I had a lot more hair and a far girthier frame, to say the least.
I like big guts and I cannot lie. Double chins with the chafing thighs.
I became really interested and inspired by jazz music after watching a Woody Allen movie by the name of Sweet and Low Down. This Woody Allen movie portrayed the life of a fictitious guitar player by the name of Emmett Ray, who was supposedly a contemporary of Django Reinhardt's. And I remember watching the movie and I'd literally never seen or heard a guitar doing the things that it was doing in that movie. And I instantly became fascinated, and I knew that I wanted to dedicate a large amount of time to learning this music. Of course, when I first started, I had zero knowledge whatsoever about jazz. I remember the first time I heard Charlie Parker was about 2 years earlier. A friend of mine played a night in Tunisia for me, and I absolutely hated it.
Hey Plankton, can our first song go like this?
I guess I'm a really slow learner. I was so confused by the harmonies, by the melodies. It just sounded completely atonal to me and I couldn't make heads or tails of it. Thankfully for me, when I first became interested in this music, a couple of my friends were very interested in jazz music and had sizable record collections. It was really through them that I had many of my first access to South African jazz. They introduced me to the music of Marcus Wyatt, to the music of Carlo Mombelli, to the music of Abdullah Ibrahim, and so many more. When I started listening to this music, it became apparent to me that I'd actually heard all of this music before, and that's because growing up, my dad also had a very sizable record collection. I just never really paid much attention to it. It was sort of playing in the background throughout my entire childhood and early adolescence. I remember as I became more and more interested in this music and started listening to the likes of Miles Davis's Kind of Blue, John Coltrane's A Love Supreme, it became instantly apparent to me that I had heard all this music before. And so during this time, when I first heard Carlo Mombelli's music, it didn't immediately catch me emotionally. As the earlier anecdotal tales that I've just revealed show, I'm not exactly the quickest learner or the sharpest tool in the shed.
Well, maybe next time you won't be such a dumb piece of and you can pick for yourself.
That's not nice.
But I would really learn to love and appreciate Mr. Mombelli's music. The first time that I saw Carlo Mombelli play was at a restaurant in Melville by the name of Soy, I believe it was called. And he was playing with his Prisoners of Strange ensemble. And as I say, I was about 18 at the time. To be 100% honest with you, at the time I was less interested in music and more interested in seeing how many women I could pick up. Spoiler alert, 0. And in my underdeveloped teenage mind, I thought that the sort of cultural currency that one could gain from being the type of person that would watch left-of-center jazz concerts would allow you to be a real hit with the ladies.
Better luck next time, pal. Some people got moves, others don't. Been that way forever.
No surprises there that that didn't really work out very well for me. So once again, as with my earlier encounters with Mombelli's music, it didn't immediately capture me. The first time that I really became interested in Carlo's music was when I started studying at the Tshwane University of Technology. I moved into an apartment in Sunnyside, Pretoria in my first year with a saxophone player by the name of Giannis van der Merwe. Giannis was a lot more hip to a variety of musics than I was. And I remember one evening Giannis said to me, "Hey man, there's a really great concert happening in Johannesburg in this venue called Espresso Jazz Cafe. Let's go check it out." And of course this concert was Carlo Mombelli playing with the Prisoners of Strange, featuring Marcus Wyatt, Sia Makuzeni, and I think Lloyd Martin was the drummer on that night. And I remember watching that ensemble, and the first time I saw it, it literally represented everything that I wanted and needed to hear and experience in music at that time. Harmonically, these incredibly dark, searching, beautiful harmonies. Melodically, a perfect blend between sort of dissonant and consonant sounds, things that my ear was used to, but things that my ear was completely unfamiliar with. And then texturally, just being absolutely blown away by the ensemble. The incredible use of dynamics, the use of sound design in the form of digital samples, Carlo Mombelli's use of loops, his use of effects. These were all things that I was completely unfamiliar with, and it was 100% a first for me. And as I said, I emerged from that concert completely changed, musically, spiritually, emotionally. Aside from all of this, this was my first exposure to the playing of Marcus Wyatt and to Sia Makuzeni singing. And once again, I was completely blown away by the level of proficiency that all of these musicians exhibited. Marcus's soloing was probably the most exciting thing that I'd seen live up until that point in time. I'd really never heard what Sia was doing with her voice being done by a vocalist, singing all of these complicated melodies in unison with trumpet lines, in unison with bass lines. Her improvisations were something that I'd really never seen a vocalist do before. And then Carlo Mombelli's bass playing. I really had no idea that that was possible on the instrument. So really, from the vantage point of all levels of music making, this was completely a transcendental experience for me. Carlo Mombelli's story, much like that of my teacher, Johnny Fourie, also inspired me to try and move overseas. Carlo Mombelli spent a substantial part of his career, or his early career, overseas. He got a really great teaching job at a conservatory in Germany, and he ended up playing really with some of the most influential musicians in the jazz idiom at large. Musicians such as Lee Konitz, musicians such as Egberto Gismonti, musicians such as Mick Goodrick, and musicians such as Charlie Mariano. As a result of this, I was really inspired to move overseas and take my studies overseas. And his story and his music is one of the main reasons why I applied to study at the Conservatorium van Amsterdam in the Netherlands. When I did move to Amsterdam, my story with Carlo Mombelli didn't end. I would listen to Carlo Mombelli's music, and I would instantly feel like I was being transported back home, back to that time when I was 19, 20, 21 years old, when I had all this excitement and optimism about the music making process. And so in that way, it was a really spiritual thing for me to listen to his music. Now that I've returned to South Africa, I have had the great privilege of playing with Carlo Mombelli on a number of gigs, and the great privilege of having him play my original music. And every time he plays it, it becomes instantly apparent to me how on a very deep subconscious level, his musical process, his influence is deeply embedded into my own musical way of being. Whenever he plays my bass lines or my melodies, it becomes instantly clear that there's a part of me that really wrote those bass lines and melodies with him in mind. So, I feel like I've gone on enough about the importance of Carlo Mombelli's music. For today, I'm going to be playing an arrangement of his song called Athens. If you enjoy this type of content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Comment down below what songs and composers you'd like me to cover. Much love, guys, and I'll see you next time.